ladies and gentlemen. Let me just see if I can move this so that we can see everybody's lovely face. Okay, thank you, just perfect. So our topic here, we're going to be discussing promoting creativity as a mental wellness tool for combating stigma. And why are we laughing? And I believe that we are all somehow within the creativity industry, and we've all at some point experienced, we're gonna start here with you, Duchess. You're trying to look away, so I've caught you. We've all been within this space for some time, and I just want us to share our own personal, just a nugget of our personal experiences of how we've had to deal with wellness where stigma is concerned. So let's start with you.
Hi everyone, I'm Duchess Iphie, and that's a hard question to answer. And the reason why I'm finding it difficult is because if you'd asked me this question prior to COVID, it would have been a different answer, because I call myself, by day I'm a business analyst, by night I'm a sex coach, so that's what I do. And I've always seen myself as someone that's logical. Creativity is not in my frame of mind. It is not something, if you say to me, pictures, I don't think in pictures, I like words, But I realized that during COVID, when we were all kept at home, that I had to tap into something else. I needed to tap into something that made me come alive, that made me feel as though that even though I'm not seeing the people that I counted on to give me my support, my love, and fill me up, that I needed to find something else. Part of it was my business, but it wasn't just my business. It was actually designing the package of my business. And I didn't think I had that capability, because I was just like, oh, no, Duchess, your words is your thing. And I realized that I didn't want people to know that I wasn't able to cope. And I know there's a sister here, I remember she made us dress up during COVID and just take pictures and dance. She knows herself. But I was ashamed, because I had this persona of someone who coped, who was able to deal with things, who was the rock for other people. So I had to find my own journey and find my own peace and my own creativity. And that just came through my business. And I created something which I share with others that helps them, gives me peace, and enables me to find my own stability in the difficulties that we find in the world currently.
Wow, thank you so much. That's amazing. David, Sheun, let's hear what you have to tell us. I don't know if it was a COVID inspired or if it was before COVID. So let's have your nugget.
Oh, wow. Okay. My sort of mental health story is quite interesting. So out of nowhere, I had a complete meltdown about 2 years ago. And it was, I literally went to the hospital, right, for a while. And when I came out and started talking to people, first of all, I didn't know what was happening to me. That made it even worse, because you're thinking, is this a spiritual attack? Is this? You just don't know what's going on. And when I started talking to people, they were like, Sheun, you're a strong man, right? You have an honorary doctorate degree from a university here at 33 at that time. You've done quite a lot. You opened up a franchise for TM Lewin straight out of uni. You've done so many things, published books. I see you as a really strong family, social and community personality. And a lot of people didn't know, even till date. My dear sister Priscilla, we've worked together a couple of times. I'm sure she's just hearing this story for the first time.
That's true.
So a lot of people didn't know I was going through that. And that awoken me to the reality that mental health is something that we all deal with. It's unfortunate that we are from a background where the stigma is still very high up. Now, it's still very high up in other communities as well, but within the African community, because mystery is something we thrive on. We like anything that is mysterious, miracles. That's why it's so attractive to a lot of people, things like that. So that makes it a lot more difficult to have the conversation. Typically it's like, what is wrong with you? Just go and sleep, or go and eat, or go and pray, and that's how people did it. So going back, I have spoken to thousands of people. I've been on stage speaking to, 10,000 people before. And I've done quite a lot of YouTube and all those things all the while. But I never knew that even while I was doing my public speaking, I was silently suffering from anxiety disorders. Now, anxiety disorders, it's a mixture in your brain chemicals. It's your neurons that are firing differently. That you can be in this room and you are seeing something different from what is being in front of you, and you're hearing something absolutely different as well. And it's not because you are doomed or you are possessed. It's just that your brain neurons are not firing properly. Now, it was speaking to my therapist and a couple of, psychoanalysts that I got that education. I was like, oh, actually, this thing is not weird. That's why some people have different tactics to deal with this anxiety. And they started giving me examples of people. Sir Winston Churchill, for example, had terrible anxiety that he suffered with. So they started giving me example of people who have done exceptionally well in life, who dealt with anxiety disorders all their life. What they did was they learned different techniques. And I love how Mummy's daughter was able to give us some techniques that we can use to help us. And the moment we lift that off, that stigma off, things get better. We'll see a lot more people sign up for Mummy's training classes, right? Because now it's not just an escape. It's actually a part of life for them, right? And they start to see that. And another thing I've also found was when we talk about creativity is nothing more than perspective. So you are creative. Everyone that is dressed up today has had to use their creative gene to dress up.
Yep.
You've had to match the earrings with this. Every single person is creative. Mm-hmm. The moment we lift that off again, what happens is you start to see even much more. Now, much more sort of like singers and creative people spring out of Nigeria.
Everyone, good afternoon to our esteemed guest speaker. Yes, my name is Beatrice, and I'll start this by saying that I am writing the story of my life, and I continue to do so, and that's the same for everyone here. We're all writing the story of our lives. Now, I came into the UK over 30 years ago to complete my master's degree, right? And that was a transition. And my call out is that creativity is within us, and it's the openness to change, which we do subconsciously every day without thinking. And it's being conscious of that and embracing that, and embracing daily habits, positive circles of influence that would help you to catapult yourself into where you want to be. Now, after my master's, I didn't go back to Nigeria, because I'm from Nigeria. I stayed to work. And then being a black woman in a male-dominated environment, I worked in telecoms for over 20 plus years, and that was difficult. That was the first challenge for me. And I had to learn how to look out for myself and plug in to the few women who would embrace me then. And then, because life is in phases, right? We go through different phases, and that's a constant thing, which we love. But thank you for putting this program together. This is just so poignant. We really need to empower each other. Thank you. And then fast forward, another significant change was when I lost my mom, and then I lost my dad and my brother within 4 months of each other. Wow. Now, that was traumatic. And I was going through a phase in my life where I was trying to work on leadership in a career that I was building. How do you pivot? Dealing with bereavements in multiple ways, okay? So I run a Mary Kay business, and one of the reasons why I started running a Mary Kay business is because of the fact that the values resonate with me, and I understood that I had to be in the right circle for me to be the woman that I believe God called me to be. So that's creativity, and my call out is recognize when you're going through trauma. Don't try and deal with it on your own, and reach out to the right positive environment that embraces your personal values, and that's what I have done. Okay. In that process, I then now share lots of workshops with women of different segments. So there's the 50s group, there's the 60s group, there's the 30s group, and now teenagers who are also going through a lot of change. And it happened when I had a skincare class with teenagers, and they were sharing their insecurities because they had acne. And these were young, brilliant girls. And by default, I became like their role model because I walked into the room like, oh my God, this woman, you know. And this is across spectrum. So I currently do that. And again, I would really love to carry on partnering to see what I can do for our young teenagers. So again, there was a trauma of bereavement, and then there was a trauma of going through a divorce. So again, I had to go through that unplanned. I'm remarried now, thank God, but you know, but that was traumatic for my kids, that was traumatic. So again, I had to learn how to daily affirm myself. So being creative to tell myself that it wasn't my fault, and even if it was my fault, it's happened. I had to print out daily affirmations on the wall in my bathroom that it was bigger than what was happening inside. And I allowed myself to cry. I didn't bottle it in. I allowed myself to cry, and then do you know what? The simplest thing did it for me. Do you know the skincare business that I run, the massaging my face in the mornings and my nighttime routine reaffirmed me. So daily habits also count.
Wow.
Eating healthy and having daily habits, especially skincare and well-being and pampering, also helps. And that's across for men and women. So that's me in a nutshell. So
Thank you. Thank you so much, Beatrice. Mayowa. Let's hear from you quickly. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mayowa, and my ministry name, or if you can call it a stage name, is MJ Praise. I'm married with 3 children, and I'm the visionary of an outdoor music concert called Let Loose, which is where I hire a stage, double this stage here, and put it on the high street, and try to share my story through singing and sharing my experience of going through childhood abuse in the hands of various men from the age of 5, if not younger.
Wow.
In the hands of various men, you know, till my teenage years that I could fight them off. So I think it's a great honor, great grace to be able to do that. And for me to put myself out there to say that, look at me, I went through it, you can also go through it unscathed. You can have a successful life. You can have a life. And for me, creativity, as you can see, is everything. You know, my husband never knows what to buy for me when it comes to dressings, or people don't know what to buy for me because I will always attack something to it. I like to stand out. And that, for me, is my own escape. And for me, is being true to myself, and consistency is my own form of creativity. Now, I go to a predominantly white church. It's an Anglican church. But I still represent Africa. I mean, I shout, I sing, I dance our own typical dance like any other thing. And because of that, God, I say a lot of God, because me, that is what I am. I'm sorry, I know it's not a religious setting. But through that, God actually opened doors for me to be employed in a pioneering role as a gospel plant leader. And that is where we do like a Pentecostal style kind of service. You know, Anglican churches are quite reserved, very quiet. But then, for me to be given that grace to do a typical African service can only be the grace of God. And consistency is really, really important. And I also write. I write songs a lot. I love to write. God gives me at least 1 or 2 songs every month to write. And that also opened doors for me to be invited to sing for King Charles and his wife Camilla. Also the glory of God. Yeah, so, and just for me to let people know that, see, it's because you have lots of things invested in you, and life happens and tries to make you derail from achieving that. But if you're consistent and you remain true to yourself, the sky is not the limit. It is just the stepping stone. God bless you.
Fear is a terrible thing. How were you able to overcome the fear? 30 seconds, please.
Ooh, okay, 30 seconds. First thing I did was disassociate myself from what happened. And that also goes with when things are going well in life. One of the greatest gifts that you can have is how to distinguish between who you are and what you do, because they're two different things. And that really helped me, because then when I was afraid to go back to doing the things I was doing, I was like, no, that's not, even if I don't do this, if I don't do public speaking on all of those things, I am who I am by the grace of God. And I had to push beyond that.
Thank you. Mayowa, I'm going to come to you. Let's put our hands together for that very quickly, because you just described a very traumatic, equally traumatic experience over and over, but here we are now. What was it you said to yourself that didn't allow you to hide in shame?
Unfortunately, it wasn't something I would have said, oh, yes, no. It wasn't something I planned, actually. It all reverts back to my belief in God. That, when he gave me the grace to organize a music concert indoors, and I said, God was like, you have to talk about your abuse, the abuse. And I always tell victims of survivors' abuse that don't call it my abuse or your abuse, call it the abuse. Mm-hmm. The abuse, because by the time you're calling it my abuse, that means you're taking ownership of it. You're saying it's your fault. No, it's not your fault. So God gave me that grace to be able to share the experience then. And my husband was the first person I told when I was 17 years old, because I told him in a place of brokenness, in a place of, you better run away, this one is used goods. Unfortunately, that is how some survivors feel. Yeah. But then he stayed and guided and guarded me. And we are still married and we, with 3 children. I wish we could be here. So yeah, it's, sorry. Yeah, so lots of things to say that I don't, But God for me has been...
It's Princess's fault. She should have given us 2 days. So thank you so much for that, though. Very, very important. I come back to you, Beatrice. You suffered a lot of pain. And when we suffer pain, we want to stay under our duvet and say, you know what, it's all over. It's too dark to get out there. So how did you say to yourself, because you lost your father, your mother, your brother, all in such a short space of time, your marriage, and then now you're remarried, you look fabulous, and you're thriving. So how did you overcome that pain?
Wow. I would say one of the biggest activities that helped me was the fact that I involved myself in activities that helped others. So I'll give you a very short 60 seconds.
Please, 30 seconds.
Okay, one morning I was going to give up. I was going through a mental breakdown, and I wanted to just give up and check out. And it looked very attractive. That seemed very attractive to me. And then I heard my son go to the toilet. This was about 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I came back. And then I remembered that I had coaching sessions with 2 people in the morning. Because I had to show up because of my consistency and consistency and integrity. Yeah, because I was busy. My diary was busy. I realized that I couldn't give up on me because people's lives depended on me.
Wow. Thank you. Duchess, during those COVID times, all of us, myself included, fear had me so gripped, but you brought out your creativity and you gave birth to something. Tell us about that moment. Where did the inspiration come from? How did you shake off that fear and say, hell no, not today. We're going to get something done.
Okay, 30 seconds is not enough, but I will be.
I know, it's
I'll be as concise as possible. I think it was a journey of, not being married and getting divorced rather, and the fact that I wanted to find my passion. I wanted a purpose because everyone talked about that, and I was like, there must be a reason why I was placed on this earth. There has to be a reason why God said, of all the people, you are the one that's going to go through this journey, be where you are, and you need to know what it is. And for me, that time of solitude, of not being so focused on the logicals of being an analyst and just saying, what is my passion? What is my purpose? And just focusing on that and speaking to people who knew me and say, tell me what you see when you look at me. When I speak to you, what do you get from me? And those things, not only did they reaffirm me to say, okay, I have a purpose, but it also opened the door for me to introspectively think about what I'm capable of doing, battle the imposter syndrome, and just step out in faith. And that's what I do every day.
Thank you so much. I'm overwhelmed by what I've heard here, because you've all spoken to me, and I hope that they've also spoken to yourselves. Can we please put our hands together for the amazing first panel? I feel like we don't have enough time to have delved into the issues, but each of them ensured that they told us how they use creativity in their own ways to address their mental well-being from various stigmas. Because, you know, their respective stigmas are stigmas that, let's be honest with ourselves, we don't want to share with anybody, really. Because, you know, nobody else is going through it. We're the only ones, and we'll, you know, that's what we think anyway. But I want to say congratulations to all of you. Thank you for being here, and also for taking me on and sharing your truths and being honest, being sincere. Please, can we put our hands together? Let's put our hands together for Duchess. Let's put our hands together for Sheun, Mayowa, and Beatrice.
Our lunch, and I'm going to call on